Oh, I just don't. that's a good point. Very that sanctuary.
I would like someplace so far, I have 5 people next time.
And that's how you saw it.
Yes, we said yes, we didn't say yes.
I would
All the people we don't have is yours. It's just not an issue, really.
It's not an issue.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone in the building. Welcome everyone at home this evening. We're here to welcome in Shabbat. So looking forward to that. Begin our service on page 2. And I hear an echo, so I'm going to take care of that. Begin our service on page 2 with the blessings for the candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvot tov v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Together we'll sing. Baruch atah Adonai Continue on page 8, the English reading. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illuminate us all and to bring that vision to life. We'll continue on page 10 with Hine Matov. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. We'll continue on page 12 with Lehuna Ranina. Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Ladonai. Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Litzori Shenu, Nekama Chana Biltoda. Naria, Naria, Litzori Shenu, Bishmir Naria Lo. Lehune Ranina, Lehune Ranina, Lehune Ranina, Ladonai. Lehune Ranina, Lehune Ranina, Lehune Ranina, Ladonai. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, raise a shout for our rock and our deliverer. Come, let us into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. In God's hand are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. In God's is the sea. God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai, our Maker. For Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends to, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge on this day. We'll continue on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShamayim, Malachei HaElyon. Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon. Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ahuni Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sefer Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now turn to page 28. Please rise for Baruch Hu. Et Adonai, Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. You may be seated. Now turn to page 34 for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Continue on page 36 with the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzalecha hayom ha'levavecha v'shnatan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shitecha b'beitecha u'v'letecha b'derech u'shaftecha u'kumecha u'kshartan ne'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha u'kakam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem ekol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'olechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem mi'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. Continue on page 37. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the works of your hands. Keep them at the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are a reminder to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God, who led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. We continue on page 39 for the translation for Emet Ve'emunah. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Continue together on page 40 with Mi Kamocha. Continue on page 43, the translation for Hashkiveinu. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haporech sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We'll continue on page 44 with Mishaberaf. Mishaberaf b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoretam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoretam berit olam. B'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoretam berit olam. Ki shet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoretam berit olam. U'vayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Ledoretam Lerid Olam. Now rise for tefillah. Please rise, page 46. Adonai, Sephatai Tiftach, Ufia Yitzehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Goel Hasadim Tuli, Lekonei Hakol, V'zocher Hasteavot ve'imachot, U'mevi Yehulah lifnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo le'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Ezrat Sarah, Atani Orei Olam Adonai, Mehayei HaKol Atalach Lehoshia, Mashiach HaRuach u'Marid HaGashem, Mekakel Ha'im Bechesed, Mehayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'ofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, L'Shenei Afar, Minamocha Ba'gilurot, Umidomera, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ve'eman Atah Le'achayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh U'Shimcha Kadosh U'Koshim B'chol Yom Yechol L'Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. You may be seated. We continue on page 55 with the translation for Avot. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Continue on page 58. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha U'Chan Ha'ev Lehodot. We'll continue on page 60 for Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Israel Anta, Tasiri Leolam. Shalom Rav, Israel Anta, Tasiri Leolam. Ki ata melech Adon, Lecha Shalom. Ki ata melech Adon, Lecha Shalom. Shalom Rav, Israel Ata, Tasiri Leolam. Shalom Rav, Israel Ata, Tasiri Leolam. Tasiri Leolam. Tasiri Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. We'll now have a few minutes of silent prayer and meditation. As we conclude our silent meditations, we will join together for page 62 for Oseh Shalom. Page 62. Oseh Shalom Mirama, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Be'al Kol Yisrael, Be'inru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom,
Shalom Aleinu ve'almo Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'almo Yisrael.
May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth. And let us say, Amen. Now continue with the Mishaberaf prayer on page 253. I will recite the names that have been provided to me from our Mishaberaf list. If there are any additional name requests after these names have been read aloud, I'd like to ask anyone who is here in person or online to share with us those names. For today, we have the following names: Ashley Blair, Joyce Cahill, Renee Lee Chandler, Harav Shmuel Ben Kahat Cranville, Chana Shira Bat Yisrael Bethega, Marty Foster, Michelle Crafton Gary, Mills Hecht, Gerard Kent, Vicki Kent, Barbara Kiven, Lexi McRae, Pam Ortiz, Harold Osborne, Jonathan Peretz, Miguel Ponyman, Vivian Ponyman, Terry Potts, Debbie Provisor, Colton Robinson, Maxine Schiffman, Linwood Spires, Steve Watson, Ashley Webb, Ashley Watana, Mark Funk, Patty Early, Hermina Levy, Kay Witt, Connie Ballard, Deborah Blanchard, Christy Solomon, Karen Labarde, Dotsy Pomerantz, Dick Engelberg, Randy Krankenpour, Jerry Norbert, Mary Solomon, Jeff Nash, Elizabeth Couch. Are there any additional name requests from anyone in person?
Beth Mariaga.
Beth Mariaga.
Terry Fields.
Terry Fields. Are there any additional name requests from anyone in sanctuary? I'll check online as well. I don't see any name requests from anyone who's in online attendance. So with these names in our minds and our hearts, we will now enter into the words of the Mishaberaf prayer on page 253.
Mishaberaf Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberaf Imoteinu Mikor HaBracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Before we enter into our Torah discussion this evening, we will offer a Mishaberaf for those who serve our country in uniform. Mishaberaf l'chomeinu Yeshua v'David Devorah Yael Yehudit Hu Yivarech Hayaleinu. May the one who blessed over our warriors of old, of Joshua and David, Devorah, Yael, and Judith, bless and watch over our dear ones who are in the service of our country and our dear ones who serve in the defense of the state of Israel. Although it is we who send them into harm's way, we pray that you lead them safely on their missions and bring them home to their loved ones in wholeness and in health. be a source of comfort to their families, and bless them too with patience, courage, and strength. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. In Genesis, we read eternal messages. God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let man have dominion over the sea, over the air, and over the earth. Our Torah reading today marks the creation of man, of humanity. And in our Torah reading this week, humanity was tasked with maintaining the Garden of Eden. Our text says, and God took man and placed him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to keep it. However, the text we are reading today in Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2 reveals major textual discrepancies in the account of creation. This discrepancy becomes the working foundation for the renowned modern Jewish theologian known as Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik in his acclaimed work, Lonely Man of Faith. I believe Soloveitchik's message is very relevant to today. Soloveitchik points out in his opening to the Lonely Man of Faith book that in Genesis chapter 1, we read that God created man in God's image. In the image of God, God created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fertile and increase, fill the earth and master it, subdue it. Subdue the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and the living things that creep on earth. Soloveitchik immediately contrasts, though, this account of creation to a second account of creation told in Genesis 2, which is very different from the accounts told in Genesis 1. Genesis 2 reads that God formed man from the dust of the ground, and God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Eternal planted then a Garden of Eden, and the Eternal God took man and placed him in the eternal Garden of Eden to serve it and to keep it. Two different men are introduced in creation, Adam the first and Adam the second. David Schatz, a theologian, forwards the book Lonely Man of Faith with the indication that Soloveitchik introduces a very time-honored tradition, contrasting two different accounts and sifting through them. The differences described by Soloveitchik between Adam the first and Adam the second are vast, and they reflect our modern sensibilities as they relate to religious observances. Adam the first is the essential modern human. To elaborate on this first account of creation, Adam the first receives a mandate from God to fill the earth and to subdue it. Adam was created alongside Eve in this account. Soloveitchik posits that Adam the first, who received the mandate to subdue nature, is the modern human who diminishes God's role in the universe and in creation. This human, as described, uses biblical criticism to discredit religion. And furthermore, Soloveitchik posits that this Adam, this human, was created concurrently with Eve in community and is purely as a result utilitarian and egocentric in his grounding. Soloveitchik writes that Adam the first is purely utilitarian, intrinsically by nature, and as such, he rules out sacrificial actions in life. He is arrogant, narcissistic, even demonic, as Soloveitchik describes it. He cannot hear the second man of creation. He dismisses him. He dismisses communal faith as obsolete and superfluous. Adam the second is a very different human. And the account from creation describes a very different human. In this account, Adam the second, as Soloveitchik describes him, is fashioned humbly from the dust of the ground. And in the second account, Adam the second was charged with the duty to cultivate the Garden of Eden, to keep it. Adam the second emerged alongside with Eve, subsequently as his helpmate and complement. He fashioned her from his own ribs. Eve was created from his loneliness, from his body, and through sacrifice. Adam the first was never called to sacrifice, not for his loyal companion, not for anyone. It just was given to him by God. He was given companion. Adam the second is the lonely man of faith that Soloveitchik describes quintessentially. And the end of Soloveitchik's discourse in his book of these two different types of humans, he submits that in every ounce of each of us abides two personalities, Adam the first and Adam the second, the submissive, humble, and the dominating forces within us. Soloveitchik continues that with the thought that Adam 1 and 2 were both sanctioned by God, and rejection of either aspect of humanity would be tantamount to rejecting part of God. One man completes the other. Without one Adam, the other could never exist. Therefore, Adam the first and Adam the second must be unified and integrated within ourselves, not eliminated. Soloveitchik's message is very relevant to us today. His discourse of two very different accounts of creation, of Adam the first and Adam the second, is a parable for modernity. In the modern world, we live in a world situated upon the eye, with modern innovations such as the iPhone, with social media, with Facebook and Twitter. Giving a part of oneself and one's time in sacrifice is something that can be very rewarding in ourselves. It is very easy in our modern world to fall into the trap of being, however, Adam the first, all in it for ourselves. Adam the second may be an ideal for all of us, but a combination of both is needed to survive in this world. I would suggest that the act of being in synagogue, in shul, at temple, in community, it diminishes the ego, and it is about being here with God. In a world of the iPhone, of social media, and of self-indulgences, we need the time here. Let the day that we are in, a day of all of the marking of creation, with Bereshit that we read today, always serve as a reminder within ourselves that we need community, we need others, and we need to be here. Ken Yiratzon. So in just a moment, we will turn to the Aleinu on page 282. Page 282, please rise. Mishaberaf la'adon ha'kol la'tet gedula yotzeh bereshit שלא רצה כי גויי ארצות ולא שמענו כי משפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקינו כהם וגורות עלינו ככל המונה ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Continue on page 285 with an English translation for the Elena. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind nor idolatry blind the eye, when we all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship. Forever united in your service, then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. So we'll now turn to the Mourner's Cottage. Mourner's Cottage begin on page 294, but first we will have a short poem. When I die, give what is left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. So now we turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Cottage. I will recite names that have been provided to me from our Cottage list. And if there are any additional requests for names to be read aloud, I'd like to ask everyone in our community to please share with us those names. Recently deceased are the following names: Laurel Brooks, Betty Karafi Weinberger, Elvin Sadoff. Our yard sites this evening continue with the following names: Herman Rothschild, Bernice Broda, Henry Bernhard, David Love, Joe Walensky, Charles Steinhauser, Harriet Berman Harris Wilkin, Nancy Rothschild Hill, Rose T. Castaneda, Nadine Rosenthal, Harold Rainbow, Louise Kulik, Etta N. Cohen, Jack Hirsch. Are there any additional name requests from anyone in our community here?
Pat Chitwood.
Pat
Chitwood.
Chipwood? Okay.
Daryl Willinson.
Daryl Willinson? Are there any additional name requests? I'll check our online attending audience as well. I don't see any additional name requests from anyone who is attending the live service. Refresh one more time to see. No. Okay. If it is your custom, please rise for the Cottage prayer on page 294. Yitkadal Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Yalma Dira Hirute Yamlit Malchute V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chaye L'chol Beit Yisrael V'adalah L'zman Karib V'yimru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabban Torah V'olam Ulamei Almaya Yishbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitraman V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei V'kudashah B'rehu Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Damiran V'yalma V'imru Amen Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'yamav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. And the one who creates harmony on high, bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say Amen. Think of our loved ones, whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season's in past years, and those whom we miss in our hearts always. May their memories be a blessing. Amen. You may be seated. So before we conclude with our final songs, is there any announcements we have, anything special other than what's on here I can announce? Nothing? Okay. So we have upcoming bingo that's going to be on October 5th, and we have some scary movie nights that are relevant to Jewish themes. We're going to have a showing of the film tomorrow night, and also the week afterwards we will. Tomorrow night we're going to watch The Vigil, and then we're also going to watch a week afterwards a film called As Above, So Below. Both of them actually talk about Jewish folklore, and they fit into the theme of Halloween that we're in for this month. So everyone's invited to that. And now we'll turn to our songs and hymns. We'll now turn to page 322 for Ein Kalaheinu. Ein Eloheinu, Ein Adonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Goshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Goshienu, Nodei Eloheinu, Nodei Adonenu, Nodei Malkeinu, Nodei Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Okay, and I'll turn back to page 5 for the blessing of the wine. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon ikalanu. Zikaron le'maaseh bereishit, ki hu yom tefilah le'mikra'e kodesh, zecher etziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'chata v'otanu kidashta mikol
Shabbat Koshecha V'Yahweh Uratzon Inchatanu Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Now we will have the blessing over the bread, over the challah, and then we'll join outside in the social hall for some very simple one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. All right. Good Shabbos, everyone. We'll connect outside shortly. Looking forward to it. See everyone soon.